be curious, not certain. Listen before you speak. Accept the other person won't change their certainties, and value rationale. These are the 4 lessons I learned from debating competitively for more than 4 years. In this speech, I will break them down, and by the end of it, I hope to have created in you the mindset necessary to become a better communicator. But before I do that, let's embrace on a short story. The greatest underdog story history has ever known. And this story takes us back quite some time long ago, 200,000 years ago, to the plains of Africa, where a scrawny, weak, defenseless creature emerged. It had no sharp teeth, nor claws to protect it, nor tough skin to protect it against the harsh environment. In short, if betting was a thing back then, this was not the creature you would have put money on. However, this creature had an unheard of ability. It had the ability to share complex ideas with its peers. It had the capacity, the unique capacity to communicate. It was the storytelling ape. And in what to evolution is the blink of an eye, the Homo sapiens had conquered Earth, had split the atom and landed on the moon, had discovered the very nature of the stars its ancestors could only glare at in the night sky. So, this brings us to the storytelling ape of the 21st century, where communication is as important to your life as it was to your gazelle hunting forefathers. Except now we hunt for a higher salary or for social recognition, but make no mistake, the ability to communicate efficiently is as crucial to you today, and it remains the same necessity. Yet, having bad conversation is such a universal human experience that it's pointless to ask you to raise your hands if you are caught in a boring discussion or if you didn't get what you want from a conversation. So I can safely assert that it's a necessity that's being overlooked by our educational system. None of us were taught how to speak or how to listen properly. Not by our parents. We all remember how when the adult were having a tough conversation, we were just shooed away. Not by our teachers, where we all remember how in school the teacher's word was an absolute that should not and could not be challenged. What I want to argue for is that education should also be about communication. And a very useful tool in that is debating. At its core, academic debate works this way. A topic is given, and you have 2 teams, one in proposition that has to support the topic, and one in opposition that has to argue against the topic, in order to convince a judge and the audience that their side is right. They have to do this through arguments, through rhetoric, and they are constrained by a certain time frame. I don't want you to think that this is a new tool. This is by no means a new tool. In the great schools of oratory of the past, where the likes of Cicero, Quintilian, or Marcus Aurelius studied, students were challenged in suatoria, which is basically an imaginary scenario that was given, and much like debates today, they had to argue for one side or the other. So, other than being word efficient in discussions, controlling pitch and tempo in my speech, structuring conversation and arguments, which are amazing skills to have in your repertoire, whether you work corporate or any other place, debating has taught me 4 valuable lessons in communication that I will share with you today. Firstly, approach conversations with curiosity, not certainty. In debate, you never know if you have to be for or against religion, or capitalism, or utilitarianism. You learn to see the world as it is, in shades of gray. I try to take this from debate and apply it to my day-to-day life. And if you manage to make the mental shift from you are wrong, I am right, to why do you feel or think the way you do, I promise you all you will have better, more qualitative, more productive conversations. People get defensive when they feel their certainty is challenged, and they open up when they feel their genuine desire to understand. Use that to your advantage in everyday conversations. Secondly, listen before you speak. And I do mean that. Really listen. Debate is a lot about rebutting, and to rebut efficiently, you need to understand what the other side wants to say. applied to everyday conversations, let's take a thought scenario. We almost, in everyday conversations, we think about what we are going to reply to our interlocutor, not about what our interlocutor actually wants to convey to us. So furthermore, be charitable in listening to your interlocutor. That is to say, if he has a poor explanation in saying what he wants to say, don't sanction them for it. Work together with your interlocutor to achieve your common goal of having a good conversation. Thirdly, accept the other person won't change their certainties. In debate, the opposing team has to defend their side no matter what you say. This makes you used to how people act in life all the time. And I want to say that the problem here is that we have a very binary, white or black way of looking at conversations. We either win them if the other person is left completely speechless with their beliefs completely shattered at the end of our discussion, and we lose them if the reverse happens, if we are the ones left speechless with our beliefs completely shattered. But truth be told, we never lose conversations, right? As none of us changed perspectives as a result of a single discussion. They are too fundamental for us. But what we do lose is friends or opportunities in quarrels that could have been avoided if we realized the impossible task we set out to complete, that is to change another person's perspective. Finally, look for ration where ration is to be looked for. If you're in a tough, pragmatic conversation, arguments and logic are your best ally. Don't fall victim to demagogues, to politicians making impossible promises with no plan to back them up, nor to pretentious speakers promising to solve your communication issues with a 4-step solution. However, my purpose here is not to make you better communicators or great communicators, but rather to awaken in you the mindset necessary to become one. To make you imagine a world where politicians appeal to the logos of people, not to their pathos, and are elected according to what they say, where scientists are not stuck behind the barrier of jargon that makes their discoveries impossible to relate to with the general populace, where people do not commit atrocities in the name of their certainties, and to strive for such a world. Education is essential here, and the way we teach our kids to communicate today will directly result in the conversations of tomorrow. So, try to be great communicators, and thank you all for listening to my TED Talk.